the Queen's secret weakness. The twin moons of planet Valar hung low in the sky, casting pale blue light across the grand palace made of black stone. Inside, a deep silence filled the throne room, broken only by the quiet hum of machines keeping her alive. Queen Xelari, ruler of the Xelari Empire, lay weak on her glowing crystal throne. Her once powerful silver body looked thinner now. Her lavender skin had lost its shine. The golden markings on her arms flickered weakly. Her breaths were slow. Her eyes, once sharp like knives, were dull with pain. 3 royal healers stood around her, their heads low in shame. "She does not have much time," one whispered. "We've tried every method," another said, his voice shaking. "But the prophecy," the youngest added. At the far side of the room, a tall figure stepped forward. Lord Arvex, the Queen's oldest advisor, knelt beside her. His voice was heavy. "My Queen, the ancient writings say only one thing now can save you." The Queen turned her head slightly. "Say it," she whispered. Arvex bowed lower. "A human male. His life energy is unique. Only mating with one can heal your fading core." The words hung in the air like a blade. Queen Xelira's eyes flashed, with anger. "You would have me crawl to a lesser species?" Her voice cracked from weakness but still held pride. "No, my Queen," Arvex said softly. "But this is not about pride. It is survival. Your body is rejecting our own energy sources. Your bond with a human may be the only way." She said nothing, but her silence was not refusal. It was fear. Far away, on a dusty space station, orbiting a dying planet, Raiden, a former Earth soldier, sat alone in a small room. He cleaned his old boots and stared out at the stars. His life was quiet now. No wars, no orders, just him and silence. But tonight, the silence would break. Without warning, gas hissed through the vents. His vision blurred. He stood up, grabbed his knife, but his knees buckled. Darkness swallowed him. When Raiden woke, the first thing he felt was cold metal under him. He blinked. Strange lights floated above. He was inside a room made of shining walls. A soft humming sound filled the air. He sat up slowly. Chains held his hands and feet. A door opened. 3 alien guards walked in, tall and graceful, their skin glowing faint purple. Behind them came someone smaller, cloaked in gold. A woman, not human, but not like the others. Her voice was soft, musical. "You are awake. That is good." "Where am I?" Raiden asked, eyes narrow. "What is this?" "You are in the royal palace of Valar, and you, human, may be the last hope of our queen." He stared at her. "Last hope? For what?" The woman didn't answer. She only looked at him with strange sadness, then turned and walked away. The guards followed. Raiden was left alone with the echo of her words. The last hope. Back, at the palace, Queen Xelari stood with shaking legs, leaning on her throne. She stared at a glowing map of Earth. "A human," she whispered. "I never thought I would need one." Her voice trembled with something rare. Fear. Her pride had ruled planets. Her name had made enemies tremble. But now, her body betrayed her, and her people whispered of death. If she died, the Xelari Empire would collapse. The noble houses would fight for power. Her people would suffer. No, she could not allow that. In a high-security room deep inside the palace, Raiden was given food, strange but warm. He ate in silence. He had fought aliens before, killed some, in war. Now he was one of their prisoners. A different woman entered this time. Tall, sharp-eyed, serious. "I am royal healer Talma," she said. "You are not here to be harmed. You are here because the queen is dying." Raiden narrowed his eyes. "And what do I have to do with that?" She looked at him carefully. "You are compatible." Only your energy can restore her core. But this is not just science, it is deeper, intimate. You must understand. You mean mating? He said, voice dry. Yes, he laughed. You people must be desperate. We are, Talma said without emotion. If the queen dies, we all fall. She left him with that thought. That night, Queen Xelari looked out from her balcony. The stars above her had always meant strength, power, and destiny. Now they felt like strangers. She touched her chest. The energy within her flickered like a dying flame. A human, she whispered again. Her eyes closed. Could she really lower her pride for her people? In the darkness behind her, Arvex whispered, He will be brought to you soon, my queen. Prepare your heart, or we will lose everything. Raiden woke again, this time in a room that looked less like a prison and more like a palace. The walls shimmered with strange blue crystals. The bed beneath him was soft, too soft. His boots had been removed and a faint scent of lavender floated in the air. He sat up quickly. Where the hell am I now? He muttered. Before he could stand, the door slid open. A tall female alien walked in, dressed in white robes with golden lines running down her sleeves. Her face was calm, but her eyes held something else. Urgency. You are safe now, human. I am Minister Vela, she said. The Queen wishes to see you. Raiden narrowed his eyes. Wish or command? Both, she replied without emotion. 2. Guards stood outside the door as Vela led him through silver hallways lit from the walls themselves. Other aliens stopped and stared at him, some with hope, others with fear, a few with hatred. He felt like a ghost walking through a dream. What do they think I am? He asked. Vela looked over her shoulder. A miracle, or a mistake. The throne room was huge, bigger than any stadium Raiden had seen back on Earth. Pillars rose, like tree trunks into a glowing ceiling. And at the far end, seated on a throne made of crystal and vines, was the Queen, Queen Xelari. She looked even more breathtaking than he remembered, but also weaker. Her head tilted forward slightly, her lips pale, and her arms resting like dead weight on the throne. Still her eyes opened when he entered, and they locked with his. Vela stepped aside. Your Majesty. Raiden didn't bow. He folded his arms instead. So, you're the one who had me kidnapped. The Queen let out a soft breath. I did not wish for this, but I need you. You don't look like someone who needs anything, he replied. A small smile touched her lips. Even stars fade. Raiden stepped forward slowly. They say I'm supposed to save you, that my body has something you need. Not just your body, the Queen said softly. Your energy, your life force. My kind is dying, and my core is collapsing. I cannot bond with anyone from my world, but you. Your DNA carries something ancient, something powerful. Raiden frowned. And how do you know I'm the right one? She turned her head toward a hovering device. It lit up and showed a spinning image, his DNA compared with hers. A perfect match. We searched hundreds of worlds, she said. You were the only match. Raiden was led away again, this time to a garden filled with strange glowing plants. There were floating stones, waterfalls that defied gravity, and birds that shimmered like glass. He sat on a curved bench, alone. He couldn't stop thinking about the Queen. She wasn't cruel, not like the aliens he'd fought before. She looked tired. She looked human. In some way, he had spent years fighting in wars. He had lost friends. He had lost his home, and now he was in the middle of something he couldn't understand. They needed him, not for war, not for killing, but to save a life. And not just any life, the life of an entire world. He shook his head. I'm not a savior. That evening, a young alien boy entered the garden quietly. He held a glowing fruit in his hands and offered it to Raiden. What's this? Raiden asked. Gift, the boy said in broken English. Queen is kind. Please help her. Raiden took the fruit and watched the boy run off. That one moment broke something inside him. Back in her chamber, Queen Xelari stood alone, staring at her reflection. Her skin was turning gray near her hands. She could feel her body slipping. Away slowly, she had ruled for over a century. She had conquered, protected, punished, and led. But now, her throne meant nothing. Her people would fall if she did. She closed her eyes. Then the door opened. Raiden stepped in. She turned slowly. You came. He nodded. I'm not here to be used like a tool. I'm not a lab rat. I'm not some animal in heat. Of course not, she said. I'll help you, he said. But not for your empire. For the kid. For the people I saw. For you. Her voice shook. Thank you, Raiden. He stepped closer. But I have one rule. We do this on my terms. With respect. The Queen smiled. Truly smiled for the first time. Then let it begin with trust. And for the first time she extended her hand. Not as a ruler, but as someone who needed saving. Raiden took it. Queen Xelari sat beside the glowing pool of energy that rested in the center of her private chamber. The room was silent, except for the soft crackle of power rippling over the water's surface. Her reflection stared back at her, a shadow of who she once was. She was dying. That was no longer a secret. Her fingers trembled as she dipped them into the pool. The energy that once danced around her now slipped away like mist. Then, the door slid open. Raiden entered slowly, his boots quiet, against the polished crystal floor. His eyes scanned the chamber with quiet curiosity. It was peaceful here, but also strange, like the room itself was holding its breath. She turned toward him and offered a weak smile. Thank you for coming. Raiden crossed his arms. Did I really have a choice? She tilted her head. You could have refused the first time you didn't. He didn't answer that. Instead, he stepped closer to the energy pool, watching it flicker. What is this? My heart, she whispered. Not the one in my chest. The other one. The Xelari core. Each royal is born with it. It gives us strength. Long life. Power. But mine is fading. Without it, I will vanish. Raiden nodded slowly. And you think I can fix it? I don't just think, I know. She stood, wobbling slightly. He reached out to steady her, but she gently pulled away. Her pride was still intact, even if her body wasn't. I didn't bring you here just for science, she said. This is personal. Ancient Xelari law says a queen's bond must be chosen freely, not forced. Raiden frowned. You want me to choose this? Yes, she replied. Even if it means risking your life. They sat across from each other on low cushions. Between them was a glowing sphere pulsing with soft blue light. It was called the Truth Light, a sacred object. If someone lied while it glowed, it would darken instantly. Ask me anything, she said. If we are to bond, you must know everything. Raiden leaned forward. Why haven't you done this with another Xelari male? She sighed. I tried years ago, but something changed in our bloodline. The energy doesn't respond. It rejects our own kind now. No one knows why. Maybe evolution or punishment. But humans, your kind, have the missing key. Raiden touched the edge of the sphere. Why me? The light pulsed softly. You are strong, healthy. But more than that, your soul is calm, balanced. I've read your file. You fought wars, yes, but you protected people. You didn't kill without reason. Raiden's jaw tightened. Still doesn't explain why I feel like a pawn. The light dimmed for a second. She noticed. That was honest. He gave a small smirk. Didn't think I'd pass your truth test? I hoped you would, she said softly. Later that night, Raiden stood on a balcony that overlooked the glowing city below. The sky was filled with floating ships and moonlight. Behind him, Queen Xelari joined him quietly. Do you miss your world? She asked. Sometimes, he replied. But Earth isn't what it used to be. War broke it. I never really belonged anywhere after that. She nodded. And now you belong even less. Here. Raiden turned to her. I don't know what I'm doing here, Queen. You're asking me to give myself to someone I barely know, for a reason I barely understand. She stepped closer. Then let me show you. She touched a crystal embedded in the wall. Light spread through the air, creating a vision. Memories. A young Xelari leading her troops into battle, healing her wounded, stopping a rebellion with only words. And then, sitting alone on her throne, watching others grow old while she remained. You're lonely, Raiden said. She looked down. For over 100 years, I have had power, yes, but no one beside me, no one who stayed. Raiden's heart softened. For the first time, she didn't look like a queen. She looked like a woman lost in her own palace. I won't lie to you, he said. This is all too fast. Too strange, but I don't want to see you die. Then stay, she whispered. I'm not ready to be a king, he said. I'm not asking for a king, she replied. I'm asking for a partner. The next morning, a message spread through the palace. The queen would begin the bonding ceremony at dusk. Some nobles cheered. Others whispered doubts. But inside her chamber, Queen Xelari sat in silence, waiting. Raiden entered, dressed in formal clothes given to him, deep navy lined with silver. He looked uncomfortable but calm. Still time to back out, she said. He smiled faintly. Nah, I've been through worse. She held out her hand. He took it, and in that moment, a soft golden light surrounded them both. Not magic, not science. Something older, something human, and alien, and real. The chamber was silent, glowing with golden light. Raiden and Queen Xelari stood hand in hand. The energy between them was soft, like a whisper neither of them could understand yet. It wasn't love, it wasn't magic. It was something in between, something that felt dangerous and real. You may feel warmth, she said gently. The bond has begun to wake. Raiden didn't speak. He could feel a quiet thrum inside his chest, like his blood was moving differently. His heartbeat slowed. His thoughts became clearer, sharper. He looked at her and saw more than a queen. He saw her pain, her strength, her loneliness. Xelari, let go first, breathing hard. We'll need time. The bond cannot be rushed. Our energies must match naturally, or it will fail. And if it fails? Raiden asked. She looked away. Then, I die, and your body may suffer damage too. If the core rejects your life force, it could break your mind. Raiden stared at her. Great, so this is either salvation or suicide. I told you the risks, she said quietly. I know, he replied. And I'm still here. For the next few days, Raiden was free to move through the palace. He wasn't a prisoner anymore, but he wasn't a guest either. The guards watched him carefully. Servants whispered when he passed. Some aliens bowed, others scowled. He trained in the palace gardens, practicing hand-to-hand combat alone. His body felt stronger than before, faster. Every day he could feel the queen's bond, changing him a little more, but it also left him confused. He didn't know if what he felt was real, or just part of the bond. One afternoon, Queen Xelari invited him to her private library. It was a massive room with floating bookshelves and holographic scrolls spinning in the air. This is where I hide from my duties, she said with a small smile. Raiden raised an eyebrow. Queens hide? Only when the crown becomes too heavy, she replied. They sat together on a wide platform near the center, surrounded by quiet and light. I wasn't always like this, she said softly. I used to believe power was enough, that strength and fear would keep the empire safe. But I was wrong. Raiden watched her carefully. What changed? You, she said. He blinked. She continued. You don't fear me. You speak to me like I'm just a person, not a ruler. No one's done that in a long time. Maybe because you act like you're untouchable, he said honestly. She smiled at that. I had to. My people need strength. Even now they see me weakening and grow afraid. They don't want a queen who needs help from a human. Raiden looked away. So what am I? Just your secret tool? No, she said firmly. You're the only one I can trust with the truth. Later that night, Raiden sat alone on a stone ledge outside his chamber. A soft wind moved through the palace corridors, and far below, the city glowed with silver lights. He thought about her, Xelari. There was a pull between them. But was it real? Or just part of the alien bond? She was proud, dangerous, and powerful. Yet when she looked at him, he saw someone afraid to be alone. He saw a woman drowning behind a queen's mask. He had saved lives before, risked everything for strangers. But this was different. This was personal. The next day, the palace was tense. Rumors spread. Some nobles were questioning the bond. One council member said it was unnatural. Another called it a human infection. During a gathering in the royal court, one noble, Lord Malvac, spoke openly. This alliance is weakness, he said loudly. A queen bonded to an earth creature? We open our gates to ruin. Raiden stepped forward, calm but firm. I'm not here to rule, he said. I'm here because she asked for help, and I gave it. Lord Malvac sneered. You think that makes you noble? No, Raiden said. But it makes me loyal. Can you say the same? The court went silent. Queen Xelari stood. Though her hands trembled slightly, her voice was steady. I chose this path, not because I am weak, but because I will do anything to protect my people, even if it means trusting an outsider. Her voice echoed in the hall. Raiden looked at her, and she looked back with something new in her eyes. Respect, and maybe something more. That night she came to him, not as a queen, just as Xelari. I need to ask you something, she said. Anything. If this bond deepens and feelings grow, will you stay, even after my body heals? Raiden didn't answer right away. He stepped closer. If this is real, Xelari, I'll know. She looked up at him. Their hands touched once more. And this time, the bond didn't flicker. It pulsed, steady, strong, alive. The golden bond between Raiden and Queen Xelari grew stronger with each passing day. She no longer needed support to walk. Her strength returned. The soft glow in her eyes brightened. Whispers of hope echoed across the palace halls. But not everyone celebrated her recovery. Far below the palace, in the cold chamber of the Council of Bloodlines, angry voices rose. He is a danger, Lord Malvac hissed, pacing. The humans were once our prey. Now our queen lets one share her soul? He's not just some outsider, another counselor added. He walks the royal halls freely. Soon he'll sit beside her on the throne. Malvac slammed his hand on the stone table. Then we must act before that happens. A deadly silence followed. Then a voice said, It's time. Raiden trained alone in the palace courtyard. The bond had made his body stronger, his reflexes faster. But something else had changed too. He could sense things now, whispers behind walls, heat in the air, the presence of others, even when they were silent. A gift from the bond, the queen had said. He sat on the edge of the fountain when a small servant girl ran up, out of breath. Sir Raiden, she cried. The queen, she needs you. He stood, up fast. What's wrong? She's collapsed. Her core is unstable. Raiden didn't wait. He sprinted across the courtyard, guards chasing behind him, alarmed. But when he burst into the Queen's chamber, she wasn't there. The room was empty. Suddenly, the door slammed shut behind him. Gas hissed from the walls. His knees buckled. Everything spun. He collapsed to the floor, the world turning black. Xelari stood before the royal mirror, her fingers gently tracing the healed markings on her skin. The bond was working. She felt stronger, braver. For the first time in decades, she even felt warm inside. But then a guard rushed in. "My queen, Raiden is gone." Her heart dropped. "What do you mean gone?" "He was called to your chamber, but you were not there. Now the door is sealed. The room is empty." She stepped back, her chest tight. "Malvak," she whispered. "It's him." She activated her wrist comm. "Scan every room beneath the council chamber. He's hiding something." "I want Raiden found now." Deep underground, Raiden awoke to pain. Chains held his arms to the wall. The room was dark and wet, like a cave. Red light glowed from crystals above. His head throbbed. Blood dripped from a cut on his brow. He heard footsteps. Lord Malvak stepped into the light, wearing black robes with silver trim. Cold, cruel eyes stared down at Raiden. "You should never have come here, human," he said. "You don't belong in our world," Raiden growled. "And you belong in a garbage pit." Malvak sneered. "The Queen thinks she's chosen wisely, but I will prove her wrong. When you die, the bond will die too, and she will fall." Raiden smirked despite the pain. "You're scared. That's why you're hiding in shadows." Malvak stepped forward and struck him across the face. "Your kind is weak. You should have stayed on Earth where you belong." Raiden looked up, blood on his lip. "I belong where I'm needed." Malvak turned to a glowing console. "Goodbye, human." But just before he could activate the machine, the wall exploded. Blinding blue light flooded the room. Guards were flung back. Malvak screamed in rage. Queen Xelari stepped through the smoke, her body glowing, her hair floating like fire. Her hands pulsed with golden energy. "Touch him again," she said coldly, "and I will erase your bloodline from history." Malvak raised a weapon. Too slow. A blast of light struck him, sending him crashing into the far wall. Xelari rushed to Raiden, unlocking the chains with a flick of her wrist. "You came," he whispered, weak but smiling. "Of course I did," she said softly. Later, Raiden sat on a healing bed as alien medics treated his wounds. Queen Xelari stood beside him, quiet. He looked at her. "So, your people tried to kill me." "Not my people," she said, "just cowards clinging to power." He nodded. "The bond, it warned me. I felt danger before they attacked." She smiled slightly. "Then it's working better than I hoped." A pause. "Why risk everything to save me?" he asked. "Because I didn't just bond with your energy, Raiden. I bonded with your heart." He looked down, quiet. Then he took her hand. No guards, no throne, no crown, just him, just her. That night the Queen addressed the palace. "Let it be known," she said, her voice echoing through the great halls, "that anyone who threatens my bonded will face judgment. We stand together, or we fall apart." The people roared, in support. And deep inside her, Queen Xelari felt something she hadn't known in years. Peace. The sky above Valar turned violet as the twin suns dipped low. It was a sacred time, the hour of joining, when stars aligned and energy flowed strongest, through the royal palace. Tonight the bond would be completed. Raiden stood in silence inside the Queen's sanctum. He wore ceremonial robes of deep gray and silver, designed by Xelari priests. Though he still felt like a stranger in their world, tonight he was not a soldier, not a guest, not a prisoner. He was the chosen one, the only human ever invited, into the royal bond. He looked into the mirror before him. The mark on his chest, a faint golden swirl that had grown stronger since the first touch, glowed softly. It pulsed in rhythm with his heart. Behind him, the door opened with a whisper. Queen Xelari entered, her appearance regal yet gentle. She wore a flowing dress woven from threads of energy, the fabric alive with starlight. Her face was calm, but her eyes carried depth, memories, pain, hope, and something new. "Are you ready?" she asked. Raiden turned, meeting her gaze. "As ready as I'll ever be." She stepped closer. "This isn't just about healing anymore, Raiden." "I know," he replied. "It's about choice." She nodded. "And we both choose this." They entered the Hall of Binding, a vast circular room with a high ceiling shaped like an open lotus. The walls glowed with soft gold, and in the center a platform rose from the floor, a circle carved with ancient symbols. Surrounding the room stood the royal healers, priests, and high counselors. The air was heavy with silence and expectation. Xelari and Raiden stepped onto the platform. As they joined hands, the entire chamber began to hum. The floor beneath them lit up. A voice echoed through the chamber, spoken by the High Seer. "Two lives, one bond. Two worlds, one path. By choice, not force. By trust, not power. Let the union begin." The energy between Raiden and Xelari swirled to life. A golden mist wrapped around them, spinning upward like a rising flame. Their hands grew warm, then hot, but neither pulled away. Raiden clenched his jaw as power surged through his body. His heartbeat sped up, his muscles tightened, his thoughts raced. The energy pushed deep into him, searching, testing, joining. Xelari gasped, her eyes glowing, bright silver. Her body trembled, but she stood firm. The room disappeared in golden light. Raiden opened his eyes. He was no longer standing in the hall. He stood in a memory, but not his. A younger Xelari knelt in a field of glowing flowers, tears on her cheeks as she watched her people mourn the loss of a war. She stood before a pyre, alone. Raiden felt her pain as if it were his own. Another flash. She was standing on a battlefield, sword in hand, shouting commands, blood staining her robes. Then, another flash, her alone in the throne room, watching. Years pass as friends grew old and died. Then, her smiling. She stood in a quiet garden, looking at Raiden, the real him. She whispered, "You see me now? All of me?" "I do," he whispered back. "And I'm still here." Raiden blinked, and the chamber returned. The mist slowly faded. The glow dimmed. The symbols beneath their feet stopped spinning. Silence. Then the High Seer's voice echoed again. "The bond is sealed." The room exhaled. Cheers erupted. Queen Xelari turned to Raiden, her cheeks flushed. "How do you feel?" Raiden placed a hand over his heart. "Different, like I'm not alone anymore." She smiled. "Neither am I." Later, in the Queen's private garden, far from the eyes of the court, the two sat beside a soft fountain under silver trees. The night was quiet. Raiden looked at her. "So, what now? Am I part of your people?" She nodded. "More than that, you are part of me. We share a living bond now. You'll feel what I feel, sometimes even before I do." He touched her hand. "Can you feel this?" She smiled. "Yes. And this." He squeezed her fingers gently. She laughed softly. "That too." Then he paused. "You saved me back in that dungeon. Risked everything. Why?" She turned serious. "Because by then I already knew what I wanted. I didn't just want your help, I wanted you." Raiden didn't reply right away. Then quietly he said, "I never belonged anywhere. Until now." Xelari leaned into him, resting her head against his shoulder. "Then stay, not just as a bondmate, but as my partner, in ruling, in rebuilding, in everything." Raiden looked up at the stars above and whispered, "Then let's build something worth staying for." Far beyond the garden walls, Lord Malvac watched from the shadows, his eyes full of rage. "The bond may be sealed," he hissed, "but I will break it, even if I must tear the throne apart piece by piece." He vanished into the dark. The palace of Valar woke before dawn. Every hall glowed, every guard stood at full alert, and banners bearing the royal crest shimmered from the high towers. It was the day of Ascension, a sacred event that marked not just the sealing of the royal bond, but the recognition of the queen's partner as ruler beside her. Raiden stood before the great mirror in his chamber, now dressed in a black and gold robe, one designed for a king. Not a human king, but something else, something new. He took a slow breath, still feeling the hum of the bond deep in his chest. Xelari's presence had become part of him now, quiet, but always there like a warm voice in the back of his mind. There was a knock. The door slid open. Queen Xelari entered, radiant in a gown made of starlight and silk. Her silver skin glowed with perfect health. The bond had not only saved her, it had transformed her. She looked strong. She looked at peace. But her eyes held something serious, Raiden, she said softly. "I must warn you, today is more than ceremony. You will stand before the council. Some still do not trust you. One wrong move and they will turn against us." He stepped closer. "I don't care if they trust me. I didn't come here for a crown." She touched his cheek. "I know. That's why I want you by my side." Later, the doors to the Hall of Stars opened wide. Thousands gathered, counselors, soldiers, healers, nobles, even common citizens. The room sparkled with cosmic energy as the queen stepped forward, raising her hands. "Today, I stand not as a ruler above, but beside the one who helped save me. Not with armies or weapons, but with loyalty, courage, and heart." She turned to Raiden. "Raiden of Earth, do you accept the weight of this bond? Do you swear to protect this empire, not through fear, but with justice?" Raiden looked around the grand chamber. So many eyes watching, so many doubting. Yet, he was not. "Afraid I do," he said clearly. "I may not be born of this world, but I will fight for it like it's my own." The chamber trembled with cheers, but at the edge of the crowd a shadow moved. Lord Malvac. Hidden beneath his ceremonial cloak, Malvac pulled a device from his sleeve. It pulsed with dark energy, ancient, forbidden. He pressed a button, and the floor cracked beneath the queen's feet. From beneath the palace, a massive shape burst upward. A creature of fire and bone. A void beast bred for one purpose, destruction. Screams echoed. Guards ran forward. The High Seer fell to the ground, crying, "Protect the queen." Xelari stepped back, raising her arms to shield the crowd. "Stay. Behind me!" Raiden didn't wait. He ran straight toward the creature, diving through fire, drawing a blade gifted to him days ago, crafted from Xelari crystal. The beast lunged. Its claws sliced the air. Raiden rolled beneath it, slashing its leg. The creature screamed. Black blood hit the floor, hissing like acid. "Raiden!" Xelari shouted. He turned toward her. "Don't come near!" The beast lunged again, but this time Xelari raised her hand and a wave of golden energy struck its side, freezing it in place. Raiden saw the opening. He jumped, driving his blade into the creature's heart. It roared one final time, and collapsed in a pile of ash and glowing bone. The room went silent. Then, thunderous applause. Guards grabbed Malvac as he tried to run. "You betrayed the queen," one snarled. "I saved us from corruption," Malvac screamed. "You let a human touch the throne." Queen Xelari stepped forward. "You will face judgment, not for your hate, but for your betrayal." She looked around. "Let this be the last time doubt threatens peace. We are not one race. We are one people now." She turned to Raiden, her voice softened. "This man came from a broken world with no crown, no title, but he gave everything to protect what he did not even own. That is what makes a king." Raiden stood quietly. The people chanted his name. Later, in the quiet of the royal gardens, the two sat beside the fountain once more. Xelari took his hand. "You don't have to stay, you know," she whispered. "You've done enough." Raiden shook his head. Back on Earth, I was just a soldier with no place to call home. But here, I'm something more. You made me more. She smiled. No, you made yourself more. He kissed her forehead gently. No, more queens and kings tonight, he said. Just us. Just us, she agreed. Above them, the twin moons crossed, two different orbs in the sky, but shining together as one.